Stop. Observe the aggressive, cold flicker of the device in your hand. It is a biological straw, inserted directly into your prefrontal cortex, siphoning off your most valuable resource, your attention. Can you feel the specific dry tension behind your eyes? That is the sensation of your neural circuitry being scorched by a constant influx of low-value data. You are currently a victim of the great attention partition. In the modern era, connectivity is no longer a luxury. It is the infrastructure of your enslavement. The Matrix provides you with free access to the digital hive mind because you are the fuel that keeps the machine running. You are paying for your existence with your focus, while the true elite, the new 1%, are investing in the ultimate status symbol, silence. They have realized that being unreachable is the highest form of sovereignty, while being always on is the definitive mark of the biomass. You are a biological unit under a state of permanent dopamine corrosion, and until you buy back your time, you are just a battery in a suit of meat. Feel the air in your lungs. It is shallow. It is restricted by the curvature of your neck as you bow before the blue light. You are in a state of neurobiological submission. The system has discovered that if it can keep your mirror neurons firing and your amygdala vibrating with artificial crises, it can bypass your capacity for original thought. This is the trance of the biomass. Every notification is a microburst of cortisol that resets your strategic clock. You are being kept in a state of attentional poverty so that you never have enough mental capital to enter the deep, high-pressure focus required for territorial capture. While you are busy staying informed, the architects of the code are busy building empires in the weighted silence of their own isolation. They are the observers. You are the data. The neurobiology of the silence premium is a masterclass in systemic divergence. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of your will, and your capacity for expansion requires periods of high-friction isolation to enter the apex state. But the Matrix has flooded your environment with convenience. It has made connectivity so cheap and so ubiquitous that silence has become a high-cost luxury. This is systemic castration through accessibility. If anyone can reach you at any time, you have no territory, you have no boundaries. You are a public resource, a digital commons to be grazed upon by every algorithm and every social parasite in the swarm. The elite have performed a neural extraction from this hive. They use the digital leverage algorithm to harvest the biomass, but they protect their own neural ports with absolute violence. They are unreachable because they are valuable. You are reachable because you are cheap. Observe the dopamine ghetto in your own circle. Look at the people who cannot sit in a room for 5 minutes without checking their screens. They are suffering from a chronic atrophy of the will. Their brain has been rewired by the constant surge of digital novelty, making the slow, heavy work of real-world expansion feel physically painful. This is the metabolic suicide of the focused mind. They are chasing the next hit of information, while their real-world structures, their health, their finances, their legacy are undergoing a state of permanent neural rot. They have been trained to fear silence because silence is the only place where they are forced to confront the reality of their own stagnation. They use the noise of the swarm to drown out the sound of their own decay. Evolutionarily, the predator always moves from the shadows. To be visible is to be a target. To be hidden is to be a threat. The poverty gene in the modern era is the desperate need for visibility and connection. The biomass thinks that networking and being online is the path to success. This is a lethal error. In the era of attentional extraction, the most powerful move is to be invisible to the machine while using its own systems to capture territory. We recognize that the always-on lifestyle is a biological trap designed to exhaust your testosterone and liquefy your focus. We prioritize the silence premium because silence is the only environment where the internal signal can be strengthened. A man who cannot be found is a man who cannot be controlled. Look at your posture right now. The hunched shoulders, the tilted head, the submissive gaze. This is the curve of the digital slave. You are physically signaling to the Matrix that you are a compliant unit. Your breathing is shallow, trapped in the upper third of your chest, the breath of a man who is constantly reacting to external stimuli. This shallow breathing keeps your brain in a state of low-level panic, making it impossible to achieve the structural integrity required for the hunt. You are being processed by a system that knows your biological triggers better than you do. You are a battery that thinks it's staying connected. The system loves your FOMO, your fear of missing out. The Matrix has weaponized your tribal instinct for information to keep you locked in the loop. 50,000 years ago, missing a signal meant death. Today, the signal is 99.9% noise, but your brain can't tell the difference. This is genetic exploitation. While you are worrying about what you missed on your feed, you are missing the actual extraction of your life force. You are missing the opportunity to build the fortress. You are missing the chance to become a sovereign of the signal. The new 1% have transitioned from FOMO to JOMO, the joy of missing out. They have recognized that the noise is a filter, and by stepping outside of it, they become the ones who determine the trajectory of the future. Project your 10-year rot. It is 2036. You are 45 years old. You have spent 15 years connected. You have an archive of 1 million digital interactions and a body that has been completely processed by the sedentary rot of the screen. Your neck is permanently curved. Your vision is a wreck. Your prefrontal cortex is a hollowed-out shell, incapable of focusing on any task for more than 90 seconds. You have no territory. You have no resources. You are a digital ghost, a person who only exists when the screen is on. When the platform changes its algorithm, your value disappears. You are a spent resource, a highly optimized NPC in a world of architects who used your need for connection to build their own empires. Stare at this ghost until the smell of its submission makes you sick. This is the price of being always on. We don't live in the ghetto of the herd. We have recognized that silence is the ultimate resource. We have performed the neural extraction. We use the digital leverage algorithm to amplify our reach across the digital savannah, but we remain absolutely opaque to the return signal. We fix the frame, we strengthen the bone, and we protect our time with the same violence we use to protect our physical territory. We recognize that the luxury of being offline is not about a vacation. It is about the architecture of power. We don't want to be followed by the biomass. We want to be the ones who set the boundaries that the biomass cannot cross. Kinetic shock. Phase 1. Break the performance. Silence the machine right now. Not at the end of this video. Take your device, put it in airplane mode, not for 5 minutes. For the next 60 minutes, you will sit in the center of your territory with zero digital input. No music, no motivational background, no screens. Observe the physical withdrawal. Observe the itch in your brain. Observe the way your poverty gene screams for the comfort of the noise. Stay in the vacuum. Face the silence of a man who is reclaiming his own agency. If you cannot survive 1 hour without the digital tether, you are not a predator. You are a pet. If you didn't do it, if you are still waiting for the inspiring conclusion while your phone vibrates with the next distraction, then you are a spent resource. You are biological junk. You are a battery that has fallen in love with its own cage. You can go back to the dopamine ghetto and continue to be milked for your attention until there is nothing left but carbon. Nature has no frequency for the submissive. You will die as an anonymous data point in a connectedness report, forgotten before your body is even cold. But if you entered the silence, if you felt the spike of cortisol and chose the structural integrity of the vacuum anyway, then the neural rewiring has begun. You have recognized that your connectivity was just a leash. You have recognized that your availability was your primary biological weakness. Now, you must fill the vacuum with your own trajectory of dominance. You must stop being a receiver of noise and start becoming the architect of the signal. The biomass believes that influence is about being seen. We know that influence is about being indispensable and opaque. The silence premium is the hallmark of the sovereign. We have uninstalled the availability OS and replaced it with a predatory framework of selective exposure. We don't want to be reachable. We want to be the goal. We recognize that the only way to build a fortress in 2026 is to have a territory that is offline, a body that is strong, and a mind that is silent. Your heart is beating in a deep, slow rhythm. Your vision is not fixed on the validation. It is fixed on the capture. You are beginning to see the digital world for what it is, a harvesting tool. This is the baseline of the architect. Stay in this friction. The matrix will attempt to reconnect you. It will send you a breaking news alert. It will show you a vital update. It will try to trigger your mirror neurons with social duty. There are algorithms that work while the biomass is distracted. There are protocols for those who want to be the ones who engineer the systems, not the ones who are processed by them. If you are looking for them, you will find them. If you are looking for connection, you have already been processed. Your cells are aging. The machine is humming. The signal is waiting. The silence is the ultimate weapon. Observe the fog. It isn't outside your window. It is inside your cranium. Feel that specific dull pressure behind your eyes. The sensation of a neural landscape that has been overgrazed and salted by the matrix. You are currently a resident of the dopamine ghetto. Within your ventral striatum and your nucleus accumbens, the biological machinery of motivation is in a state of systematic collapse. You have been fed a steady diet of digital sugar, short-form shocks, infinite scrolls, and algorithmic micro-rewards until your dopamine receptors have effectively gone deaf. This is dopamine corrosion. You are not bored. You are suffering from a profound neurobiological bankruptcy. You have lost the ability to feel the heavy, resonant satisfaction satisfaction of real-world achievement because your brain is constantly screaming for the next 5-cent hit of novelty. This is the new definition of poverty. In the 21st century, wealth is measured in gray matter and the ability to hold a single, lethal thought for an hour. Poverty is the inability to focus for 60 seconds. The neurobiology of this ghetto is a masterclass in systemic violence. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of your agency, your logic, and your capacity for territorial expansion, is physically shrinking. Every time you check a reel or a short to escape the friction of a difficult task, your brain performs an act of neural pruning. It discards the high-energy pathways of deep concentration and reinforces the low-energy pathways of reflexive consumption. This is cognitive poverty by design. The matrix needs you to be scatterbrained. It needs your attention to be fragmented into a million worthless shards. A fragmented mind cannot build a fortress. A fragmented mind cannot command an algorithm. A fragmented mind is a predictable, manageable resource that can be milked for its data points until it is discarded. You are currently a biological unit undergoing a slow-motion lobotomy, and you are paying for the procedure with your life minutes. Observe the digital obese in your own circle. Look at the people who claim they are multitasking. They are actually performing a series of rapid, high-friction task switches that are liquefying their cognitive metabolism. They are suffering from a chronic entropy of the will. Their brain has been rewired to seek the low-energy path, the path of easy answers, pre-digested opinions, and immediate gratification. This is an evolutionary trap. 50,000 years ago, your brain was evolved to conserve energy. Information was scarce, so your brain was primed to gather it with minimal effort. The Matrix has exploited this genetic script by providing an infinite supply of low-value information at zero physical cost. The result is a total collapse of your mental structural integrity. You are full of noise, but you are cognitively starving. Feel the tension in your jaw right now, the way your eyes are constantly darting, seeking the next flicker of movement on the screen. This is the reflexive gaze of the prey. A predator has a fixed horizon. He locks onto a target and maintains focus until the extraction is complete. A prey animal has a scanning horizon. He is constantly distracted by the periphery, looking for a threat or a scrap of. By keeping you always on, the Matrix has reverted your brain to the state of a prey animal. You are in a permanent state of high cortisol arousal, reacting to every notification as if it were a predator's growl. This chronic stress is performing a systemic extraction of your testosterone and your creative force. You are becoming softer, more anxious, more manageable. You are a battery that is being drained by its own distractions. The system loves your digital obesity. The Matrix thrives on your inability to read a long-form text or build a complex system. Why? Because an individual who cannot focus is an individual who cannot penetrate the shell of the machine. He is a receiver of instructions, not a source of commands. We have recognized that the silence premium is the only way to reverse this neural decay. We don't browse, we extract. We don't scroll, we command. We use the digital leverage algorithm to filter the chaos, using AI as a cognitive exoskeleton to protect our prefrontal cortex from the noise of the swarm. We recognize that in a world of total distraction, the man who can focus is the only one who can lead. Look at your own information diet. Trace the trajectory of your daily consumption. 99% of what you learn online is carbon scraps, noise designed to trigger a temporary emotional resonance and then vanish. It leaves no bone. It adds no value to your structural integrity. It only serves to keep your neural ports open for the next harvest. You are currently a biological unit under a state of permanent metabolic suicide. You are trading your high-potential neural hardware for a pile of digital ash. You are becoming a person without a memory, a subject without a history, a unit without a future. Project your 10-year rot. It is 2036. You are 45 years old. You are suffering from digital dementia. Your short-term memory is a wreck. You cannot remember the last book you read, the last system you built, or the last time you felt a deep, resonant sense of pride. Your attention span is shorter than a child's. You are sitting in a room, surrounded by devices that know your every weakness, feeding you a personalized stream of comfort noise to keep you from realizing that your life is over. You have no territory. You have no resources. You are a spent resource, a highly optimized NPC in a world of architects who used your inability to focus to build their own empires. Stare at this ghost until the horror of it burns away your need for the next hit. This is the price of the dopamine ghetto. We don't live in the ghetto. We have recognized that focus is the ultimate currency of the 21st century. We have performed the neural neural extraction. We protect our neural ports with absolute violence. We treat our attention as a lethal resource that must be guarded against every algorithmic parasite in the matrix. We don't want to be informed by the swarm. We want to be the ones who engineer the signal. We prioritize the silence premium because silence is the only place where the brain can rebuild its gray matter and its capacity for dominance. Kinetic shock. Phase 2. Liquidate the sugar. Delete the short form right now. Open your device. Look at the apps that sell you shorts, reels, or TikToks, the high-speed dopamine harvesters. Delete them, not for a week, until you can sit in a room for 60 minutes with a book and feel no itch for the screen. If you feel a surge of anxiety at the thought of losing these fun distractions, that is the sound of your addiction. You are a junkie for the matrix sugar. Do it now. Break the loop. Face the silence. If you cannot survive without the short-form hits, you are not an architect. You are a battery that has fallen in love with its own drain. If you didn't do it, if you're still looking for an excuse to keep your digital sugar, then leave. You are biomass. You are the fuel that keeps the machine running. You deserve the 10-year rot. You deserve to wake up at 50 and realize you spent your life force on 15-second clips. We have no frequency for those who choose their own lobotomy, but if you deleted them, if you felt the spike of cortisol and did it anyway, then the neural rewiring has begun. You have created a vacuum of attention. Now you must fill it with the signal. You have recognized that your boredom was actually your brain trying to recover from the noise. You have recognized that your distraction was a systemic extraction of your potential. The biomass believes that information is power. We know that filtering is power. The dopamine ghetto thrives on your need to stay in the loop. We thrive on the structure of the vacuum. We have uninstalled the availability OS and replaced it with a predatory framework of cognitive domination. We don't want to know everything. We want to know the one thing that allows us to capture the territory. Your heart is beating in a deep, slow rhythm. Your vision is not fixed on the noise. It is fixed on the extraction. You are beginning to see the dopamine ghetto for what it is, a harvesting tool. This is the baseline of the architect. Stay in this friction. The matrix will attempt to reconnect you. It will send you a breaking update. It will show you a viral clip. It will try to trigger your mirror neurons with social duty. There are algorithms that work while the consumers are distracted. There are protocols for those who want to be the ones who engineer the systems, not the ones who are processed by them. If you are looking for them, you will find them. If you are looking for entertainment, you have already been processed. Your cells are aging. The machine is humming. The signal is waiting. The silence is the ultimate luxury. Listen to the weight of the air, not the thin, static-charged atmosphere of your server room, but the heavy, unhurried breath of the real world. Can you feel the specific grounding friction of your feet against the floor? This is the analog fortress. While the biomass is being liquefied in the digital hive mind, the true elite are retreating into spaces of absolute neural silence. They have recognized that connectivity is a tax on the poor, a way to keep the labor force in a state of chronic, low-level agitation. The architects of the matrix do not live in the world they built for you. They live in stone, in wood, and in the deep, unyielding silence of the analog. They have realized that the primary status symbol of the 21st century is not the newest device, but the neural sovereignty that can only be forged in total isolation. You are currently a biological unit under a state of permanent attentional leakage, and until you build your fortress, you are just a node in someone else's network. The neurobiology of the analog fortress is a masterclass in hormonal and cognitive recovery. Your brain was not designed for the flickering blue light frequency of a world that never sleeps. When you are always on, your body is in a state of chronic circadian disruption. Your cortisol levels never hit the baseline. Your deep sleep, the phase where your neural waste is cleared and your testosterone is synthesized, is being systematically sabotaged by the digital noise. This is systemic biological softening. The new 1% have performed a hormonal extraction from the grid. They sleep in rooms designed as Faraday cages. They work in environments where the only input is their own strategic intent. They have recognized that a brain that has been restored in silence is 10 times more lethal than a brain that has been connected for 24 hours. Observe the elite protocols in Silicon Valley. The very people who engineered the mirror neuron economy and the dopamine ghetto are the ones who pay thousands of dollars for analog schools for their children. They have uninstalled the technology from their private lives because they know it is a neural pruning tool. They want their progeny to have the capacity for deep focus, for complex systems thinking, and for the heavy strategic work of the architect. They want them to be the ones who command the AI, not the ones who are replaced by it. They are cultivating a class of sovereign minds who can sit in a room for 3 hours and build a world, while your children are being trained brain to react to 15-second stimuli. This is the divergence of the species. One side is building the fortress, the other side is being processed by the farm. Look at your own environment. Trace the trajectory of the wires. Your home is not a sanctuary. It is a high-speed extraction port. You are breathing in the ozone of your own enslavement. Your structural integrity is being eroded by the constant invisible friction of the digital swarm. Every device in your room is a leak in your hull. You have been taught that accessibility is a virtue, but in the biological world, accessibility is just vulnerability. We recognize that the digital leverage algorithm requires an architect who is physically and mentally detached from the noise. We use the tools to capture territory, but we build our strength in the analog vacuum. Evolutionarily, the high-status male was the one who controlled the territory. He provided the frame. He was the center of the signal. Today, the center is not on the screen. The center is in the silence. When you disconnect, when you enter your analog fortress, you are performing an act of biological dominance. You are telling the matrix that your attention is not for sale. You are telling the biomass that you are not a partner in their collective noise. You are reclaiming your testosterone from the social validation loops and redirecting it into the conquest of reality. A man who cannot be found is a man who is planning. A man who is planning is a man who is dangerous. Feel the sudden, cold clarity in your mind as you contemplate the vacuum. This is the neural reset. When you remove the stimuli, your brain begins to rebuild its gray matter. Your dopamine receptors begin to recover their sensitivity. You start to see the world as a map of raw data points again, not as a gallery of feelings and trends. You are becoming an observer. You are regaining the capacity for the deep work that is the only real wealth in the information age. You are becoming a person of weight. Kinetic shock. Phase 3. Establish the perimeter. Build the fortress. Right now. Go to your sleeping area. Remove every screen. Remove the router. Remove the phone. This is now a digital-free territory. This is the ground where your biology will recover. If you feel a surge of anxiety at the thought of being disconnected while you sleep, that is the sound of your shackles rattling. You are afraid of the silence because the silence is where the good boy within you dies. Do it now. Establish the boundary. Face the darkness without the digital pacifier. If you stayed in the chair, if you are still waiting for the perfect time to build your fortress, then you are already biomass. You are a battery that loves its own drain. You can go back to your connected life and continue to be processed until there is nothing left but carbon. Nature has no frequency for the soft. You will die as an anonymous unit in a smart home that forgot your name before you were even buried. But if you established the perimeter, if you felt the spike of cortisol and chose the analog vacuum anyway, then the biological extraction has begun. You have recognized that your connectivity was your primary weakness. You have recognized that your availability was your social castration. Now, you must fill the silence with your own trajectory of dominance. The fortress is the foundation of the empire. The noise is gone. The market of cheap attention has collapsed. Observe the sensation in your thoracic cavity, a deep, unhurried resonance. You are no longer breathing the recycled air of the digital swarm. You are standing in the wreckage of your own connectivity. And for the first time in your biological life, you are seeing the matrix from the outside. You have achieved neural sovereignty. You are no longer a node. You are the architect of the signal. In this space, the always-on lifestyle isn't just a nuisance. It is a crime against your own potential. You have recognized that the new 1% doesn't live in the cloud. They own the cloud and live in the bone. This is the sovereign future. You use the digital leverage algorithm as a lethal instrument of extraction, but your throne is built on the heavy, unyielding silence of the analog world. The neurobiology of this sovereignty is built on the total restoration of your executive control. While the biomass is undergoing a systematic neural liquefaction, their brains becoming soft, reactive, and incapable of long-term strategy, your prefrontal cortex is being reinforced by the silence. You have resensitized your dopamine receptors to the high-stakes friction of real-world conquest. You don't need the popcorn hits of social validation because you have the heavy, slow-burning fuel of territorial success. This is the biological extraction from the farm. The matrix provides the digital sugar to keep the batteries from realizing they are being drained. We provide the signal to those who are ready to become the architects of their own reality. Observe the digital morgue around you. Look at the faces on the street, illuminated by the cold, bluish hue of their shackles. These are the victims of the identity harvest. They have surrendered their attention, their reproductive drive, and their physical health to a machine that views them as raw data. They are always on, and yet they have never been more absent. They have no memory, no focus, and no future. They are the batteries of the matrix, and they are being processed at a record pace. Their spines are curved into a permanent gesture of submission. Their testosterone is in a state of chronic decline. They are the inhabitants of the morgue, alive in name, but biologically and cognitively dead. They are the fuel for your systems. The system fears the sovereign. It fears the individual who can utilize the maximum power of AI and automation while remaining biologically opaque. Why? Because you cannot be hacked through empathy or validation if you aren't in the loop to receive the signal. We use the technology to project our will, to automate the hunt, and to harvest the attention that the biomass is so desperate to give away. But we do not participate. We have uninstalled the social approval OS and replaced it with a trajectory of total capture. We recognize that the luxury of being offline is the only way to protect the brain that is building the future. Evolutionarily, the high-status individual was always the one with the most information and the least visibility. He was the one who could see the patterns in the chaos because he wasn't part of the chaos. Today, that means being the one who controls the algorithms from the silence of the analog fortress. We use the primal observation codes to map the movements of the swarm, identifying the extraction points and the leverage points without being captured by the resonance. We are the black holes of the digital savannah. We consume influence, we absorb attention, but we remain unreachable. Look at your posture now. Is your frame a monument of structural integrity? Is your breath deep, fueling your predatory drive? You have recognized that your time is not a commodity for the matrix to harvest. It is a lethal resource that belongs to you alone. You have recognized that the digital leverage algorithm is the only logical response to a world of liquid values. You have stopped being a receiver of noise and started being the source of the signal. Kinetic shock. Phase 4. The final extraction. Disappear. Right now. Not for an hour. For the next 24 hours, you will enter a total neural blackout. No social feeds, no messages, no digital mirrors. You will go to a place where there is no one to mirror, and you will stay there. Face the absolute silence of your own lack of an audience. If you feel a surge of panic, if the thought of being unseen makes you feel like you are disappearing, then you have identified the location of your chains. You are an addict of the noise. Stay in the vacuum. Face the bone. If you cannot survive one day as a sovereign in a vacuum, you are still a battery. If you stayed in the chair, if you are still looking for an excuse to check back in, then you have already been processed. You are biological junk. You are a cell in the digital morgue that loves its own decay. You can go back to the dopamine ghetto and continue to be milked for your attention until there is nothing left but carbon. Nature has no frequency for the soft, but if you disappeared, if you are standing in the cold clarity of your own isolation, then the neural rewiring is complete. You have recognized that your connectivity was your social castration. You have recognized that the silence is your kingdom. Now you must fill that kingdom with your own trajectory of dominance. The signal is yours to command.